Welcome back from the break. You're still watching The Point, and of course our discussions continue this time around to at least understand how you, the business person, can fit into our kind of discussion today. Well, you can all agree there are quite a number of energy options in the country that you can use. People use biogas. People, for example, when it comes to cooking, people are using liquefied petroleum gas. I will be asking my guest today whether you can use solar if you want to cook. It's going to be another question in here we want to understand as well, because now Ugandans want a softer life. And how you upgrade to a softer life, you have to make sure you make it easier for yourself. You make sure that the energy sources are available, that is at your home or even in your business. But besides that, we're looking at energy efficiency and access. So trying to analyze the economic utilization of energy for the sustainable development, and of course looking at its uptake. For example, how many of you are taking up solar? When I'm to take a look at some of the schools, I do know some schools who are using actually solar as an alternative. What I do remember most is in Mokono, there is a school called, is it Seroma something? They do have a field. It's more like a field of solar panels set up, and these solar panels normally pump power that is for lighting up in case electricity goes off. Well, I was told at times it does not power a number of, for example, computers, because it's weak. That is why I want us to first of all discuss on the matters to do with solar in business. Now, when you look at the solar uptake in businesses in Uganda, first question I would want to ask, do you think there are businesses in the country here who have taken up solar and they're doing actually well with it?
Yeah, very actually.
They're doing, are they dealing in retail or doing in this kind of, for example, business that needs a lot of, or that need use of power? For example, when you look at people who do welding and all that kind of business, can solar support those kinds of businesses?
Okay, thank you so much. I would just wish to inform the viewers that solar can do everything.
Okay.
And that's something that has been lacking.
So I shouldn't undermine solar?
You shouldn't undermine solar. So the difference is, as I have said, is who is going to do that, who is the expert you're going to use, and who is going to do the sizing for your solar system.
When you talk about sizing, what is sizing? I don't understand.
Sizing, I'm trying to mean, it's just something like before, it's like you design something before you plan for it and implement it. So the sizing I'm talking about is if you're to give me your energy needs, let's say you want to power a school. We are going to look in details. How many lights, how many computers, how many
is it going to feed?
Exactly. So before you even think about how many panels, you have to sit and do analysis and also do a technical site survey. Basically, what is even encouraged to do site surveys on the ground, and we first do assessment. How many computers are you going to put, and what are the computers, what's their capacity in terms of consumption? So now that will give you the sizing I'm talking about. So if, for example, it's a school and it has let's say 20 computers, what is the consumption for each computer? So now what kind of a system am I supposed to give them? You get my point? So you find it's not about just counting the panels. We do the math, we do the sizing as I've said, then we are able to know that this school, it has 20 computers, 100 lights, so it will need maybe 2 kilowatts, 5 kilowatts. So you realize each and every person has a different size. So that's what we talk about sizing. For people who are benefiting in business, for example, I've talked about solar. We have solar that can pump water, whereby now that's like automatically cost saving. You will have your own water without any disturbance. We're giving you a solar water pump that you will have. It's you to determine that per day I want to pump, let's say, 10,000 liters every day. So that means the technical person will design a system, a water pump that is going to pump for you the 10,000. So in business now, there you've already really made it for life. There's nothing like tomorrow I will not have water. As long as the sizing is done accordingly, then the solar will automatically work very well, and also the maintenance. Then we talk about the solar for even people with private health centers. private clinics. What happens if power goes and you have a patient? Maybe it's there's an operation going on.
There is an ongoing.
So you realize that really, if I'm going to take any service to maybe a clinic or a hospital, what I always think about, actually, I'm always a solar lead. They call me a solar lead. I first ask, do they have solar services? What do I mean? What happens if I'm in the middle of maybe doing a test at the hospital and power goes? Is it the frustration that is going to make me, you go, come back tomorrow, the results are not there, you get? So business-wise, I would really encourage everyone in business to go for solar. It's 100, okay, I cannot say 100%, but in real sense it is. Solar is very cheap in a long run. When you talk about investing in solar and really a good solar system, it's some small money that you're really going to invest. Like it can maybe cost at around 3 million and above. A good quality solar system that is going to stay for, it's going to work maybe 1 year, 2 years, 3 years.
Yes.
And now that means that if you look at even if let's say you're 100% using solar, it means that within the 3 years, you'll have your payback period. Let's say I've invested in 3 million, but I'm going to use solar 100%. There's nothing like maybe solar is going to break out. These days, most of the solars we install, we put a remote monitoring system that helps the technician who is maybe who installed the system and you, the end user who is using it, you'll be able to know the healthy condition of how your solar system is working. And at the end of the day, we have no inconvenience. Before the solar shuts down, it will give you like alert messages. Maybe it's not fully charged. And this will help the person doing business to know how to utilize it. And at the end of the day, it means actually we have a research about and testimonies of people are using solar. You find that the revenues have doubled from before they used the solar system. Because first of all, if it's a school, it means that if the school has a solar system, students will not suffer in terms of reading, and academically they will perform automatically because they are not going to struggle. Power has gone, we are in exams, it's UNEP time. I don't know whether you have ever
your power efficiency with solar.
So the performance is going to increase and everyone would wish to join your school business-wise. You are increasing on the revenues and at the same time you are impacting on people's lives vis-a-vis the performance.
The level of production is not delayed because of the shortage of power.
Yeah, so we talk about like people in production. I can imagine if you're in the middle of production, maybe probably you are using a generator, which is also very expensive actually, which people don't understand. Because one, we don't want to have that noise pollution, air pollution, you're adding very many things. But here you're having your clean energy, you have your solar. Where the power has gone, you can do a two-way. You can do a hybrid. That maybe if I don't want to use solar 100%, I can have it as a solar backup or a hybrid.
Yes.
So that by the time maybe there was production going on and power has gone, you don't need to suffer any loss. Like you don't need to incur any damages because power has gone. We install this solar and we make it automatic that immediately maybe when power goes, you are able to continue with production. We talk about briefly about now if there's someone there saying, now Madam Chichoncho, what if me who is in a village, can I put up a factory? As I've said, we have reached a level now, even here in Uganda we have the capacity of where we can, if we want to start up a factory and we're going to basically run it on solar. You don't need to wait until in your village to do business. You can continue with your plan for the business. Just come, contact us, contact me or contact I will still mention that you need to look for an expert. So I am giving free consultation on that.
Okay, you see when you talk about technicians and experts, I need to know, before you even continue with your submission, you see, just like any other businesses, we normally have lots of people, what we call middlemen or brokers. We have people who learn on the job, we have people who are technically gifted at that or have studied. So how would you identify? Now I'm looking at someone, my grandmother in the village wants this solar. None of us is there to identify that this person, or maybe I'll link up with someone called Chichoncho and say, how can you send me a technician? Now my grandmother knows someone or someone's son who has been fixing these issues to do with energy in the village. How would they tell that this one, at least this person is more technical about solar?
Okay, I would wish to maybe bring this point that right now we have even at the universities, people are doing solar courses.
Oh.
So you can majorly do a course majoring in maybe solar installation and maintenance. They are there. So how do you identify is now the question. Of course, I earlier said, before you buy a system, try to contact the right people. As I've said, if it's a company, don't just buy a solar system from someone working, or ask them a certificate. There are permits that someone must have for you to install a solar system on someone's building. So can you ask them, do you have a solar permit? Okay. So if they say yes, you can have a look at them, and you know that maybe, okay, this person has experience. And now we talk about the experts. You cannot install a solar system when you have not studied it and it will not work. So how do you differentiate? If someone installs for you a system and tomorrow it stops working, it means you dealt with the wrong person in the first place. So what you can do is always ask them if you have a solar installation permit. And also, as I said, they give you at least a document that is going to guide you on how to use the solar. So now, if we talk about the education background of someone who is the solar expert, is what we are meaning. And also, if someone is having an experience in dealing in solar systems, it means at least by the time Angela comes to your home, ask which company are you working with, what happens when my solar fails. And people shouldn't just buy things without agreements, I may say.
Because it's
without
your money,
warranty.
you really
it's your money you're putting in, and you have to get value for your money. So I would really encourage the viewers that please, before you buy a system, try to ask someone who is going to climb on top of your roof, do you have an installation permit? Because we have had worst cases of maybe someone who is not a technical person. It's just, my uncle did this installation, I'm going to do it. And solar can even burn a building, I'm sorry to say that, if it is poorly installed. And even on a worst case scenario, if someone is not a qualified person or is not an expert in solar, you realize some of them will install a system and it stops working. You have gone to some health centers, you see panels up and in real sense they are not working. And all that comes in that I would encourage people, please get value for your money by asking the warrant. If someone is not giving you a warrant, then please don't deal with them. And the warrant must be documented, not just a verbal thing. Because I can say, at the end of the day, someone will disappear. Can you also try to visit their offices? Because if I come to Smart TV, I know if anything happens, I reach a point where I can at least refer to get maybe if something is wrong. And also there are toll-free lines. I would also maybe encourage the viewers that we have associations. We have like WUSEA platform where they have a website, they have an online like customer care attendants who can easily give you details on which company can you refer to. And that's why they are there. So don't just buy things from people who are working. I know they're going to hate me outside there. But the fact of the matter is, let's have value for the money. Let's ask for the installation permits. Let's ask for the warranty. Let's ask for those other user manuals. Because if someone installs for your system, you don't know which one is an inverter. Where are you going to start from if the system fails? Or if you have the lanterns still, these small lanterns. Know how they are supposed to put it outside. You realize that when we talk now, we'll go to a discussion. When you talk about what are the reasons of why maybe solar systems fail.
We're coming there as well.
Yeah, we shall talk about that. So you realize that you buy a system, but you don't know it. So it is going to get power from the sun, and of course the sun is for free. But you find someone bought a solar system and the pan is inside, and they give you a call, my system is not working. Yet in real sense, it's supposed to go outside and generate power from the sun, and you'll be able to get your solar lighting as expected. All
right, back to our solar uptake in business. You were earlier on discussing this, and I cut you short. But in just a simple breakdown, the uptake, you did mention that businesses can easily pick this up, and it does look so. What do you think is undermining? What do you think are the risks attached or undermining most businesses in Kampala to uptake the solar? Because some businesses in Kampala that are common dealing in solar are either selling it. Surprisingly though, after selling it, they are using hydroelectric power as their source of energy. For example, in their shops and everything. You never blame them anyway, because that's the building they are renting. But they are selling solar panels and everything. What do you think is undermining the uptake in business? Why do you think very few, because I want to believe there are not so many who have taken it up, people just use it as an alternative. The catchword there is alternative, which means they have the main priority, which is electricity. Obviously, it powers very fast. But then, why do we still have a low uptake of solar in businesses, in your own view?
As I said,
Yes.
of course, let me first start from where you have said solar and not using it 100%.
They're using it.
That is very shameful, I may say, because we should live by an example.
Yes.
If, for example, you go to a solar company and you find, actually that should be also a red flag, someone buying a system. You go to a solar company and you find they are not using solar 100%. Then there must be a problem. But sometimes, again, we don't blame them. You will find maybe the system that they are supposed to have is quite expensive. Maybe the company cannot afford at the moment. As I said, you find maybe the system that needs to run the whole entire company, which they are dealing in, it needs maybe something like, let's say, 100 million.
Okay.
Which might be quite expensive for them to do. So at the end of the day, they are looking at having something to just bring on table and survive.
Very true.
And hence being one of the maybe risks and challenges we may talk about, that this is the reason why maybe this guy is not having solar installed 100%. Then also, as I said, we talk about the prices automatically. You find that Angela needs the system. And by the way, everyone, you make research, even if right now we just go outside and ask how many people want a solar system. The issue is now the pricing. You find, of course, the small, as I've said, someone cannot afford, but they would wish to have solar systems.
Yes.
Now it becomes hard for someone in business to force them. But that's why I've said, as earlier mentioned, we are trying as much as possible to have solutions for everyone to access, and realize now we have pay-go, whereby I can buy a system and I pay per day, maybe 700 shilling. All that we are doing it for making business people to benefit, and at the same time to impact on people's lives, to all have clean energy. At least we know that even if someone is making bricks outside there,
yes,
they can be able to save 500 shilling. That's why we have now the pay-go. We have now, even if you go to any bank, now they have what we call solar financing. So you can, as a business person still, you can either go and access a solar financing to buy solar components to start up a business. Then at the same time, you who wants to have solar, you can go to, we have even microfinances. Actually, every financial institution now, they have what you call solar financing. It's on their services. So at least if you cannot afford a big one, you can afford a small lantern. You pay Chimanjampara, you have a small payment plan which you can afford. We have payment plans that can waive in for 5 years. That in Sobolo Kusasulako, 1,000 maybe per day. By the end of the day, in real sense, the solar is what? Is maybe 3 million. Of course, we will not look at the interest. That's now another different topic we can discuss about. But at the end of the day, it will help you, the person. We talk about, I always talk about people are saying solar is expensive. Until you realize, we talk about, you have had schools that are getting burnt by a candle. How much have you invested in those buildings vis-a-vis how much is a solar system? Let's say 4 million. How much are you going to lose if you have not installed a solar system in your school? Business-wise, just to use that simple mathematics, you realize that you're making a lot of mistakes by not having a solar system. And at the end of the day, you're putting people's lives at risk, because if a candle burns the whole school, really, those things have been happening. Even
it's lack of seriousness to have even.
You get my point. And we have access to solar. We now have the financing. So please, business people, let's try to value our money, and we really opt for solar. We are trying to move as much as possible to the level where we want everyone to access solar, and that's why all those implementations are being done for everyone to access solar. Business-wise, still you can now get a loan of, let's say, 2 billion. You go and ship solar components in China and you start business. So it's a two-way traffic, actually. Yeah.
It's a win-win for everybody, the consumers and the business people. Like any other kind of business, I want to believe there are some risks attached. After the break, I want us to discuss, to go big on these risks, a little bit to understand where are the risks that the people can avoid. For example, in the uptake of solar, especially my business people, I think those who want to start using solar, serve quite a number of costs for you as well. And not only that, when you look at the other sources of energy in the country, we have wind. The uptake of wind is pretty much for people who are actually into agriculture a lot, maybe, and those who can afford all those windmills that you've heard about. But besides that, maybe people who are into biogas, sort of energy, as biogas as an energy source. I think those are other people who are actually into these renewable energy sources as well. But solar does seem to be one that is actively being used, or something that has been looked at as an alternative for people, especially business people who are actually having huge franchise and are running short of electricity or have no generators that can power some of these heavy machines as well. Besides that, like I did mention earlier, our topic is pretty much looking at energy efficiency and access, and as well trying to analyze the economic utilization of energy for sustainable development in the country. How can we try to enhance livelihoods and increase the resilience and competitiveness of businesses by using renewable energy sources? I'm still with my guest here, that is Madam Chichoncho Angela, who is the energy expert in inclusive markets. After the break, she's going to be telling us more about the inclusive markets for energy efficiency in the country. You didn't mention that in your introduction, I should say, but maybe later on in the show, as we are summing up, you will be giving us more details about it. After the break, we'll continue with The Point, where we analyze policies and more.
Smart24, driving business.